Hey everybody, my name is Duke, and today's devotional is going to be out of 1 Samuel chapter 5. So actually I would encourage you to read that chapter. Maybe just pause this recording, go ahead and read that, and then jump back in with us. Now, for the first 4 chapters of this book, just to provide a little bit of context, what we see is God's people, they reject Him. You know, they choose not to worship Him, not genuinely. And they choose to glorify themselves rather than God. The word that's used over and over is this word, make themselves weighty, make themselves fat. And they don't give God the glory that He's due. Now, as a consequence for this, they suffer at the end of chapter 4 a devastating loss to the Philistines. 30,000 Israelites are killed. And the Ark of God, His presence there in this Ark, is captured and taken back into Philistine lands. And it's tragic. It's tragic that the enemy of God would now have what is most precious to the people of God. And it appears like, you know, at least on the surface, like, God, did He lose to the Philistines? Does He lose at this point to the God of the Philistines, Dagon, in this battle? And not at all. He's up to something. So what chapter 5 shows us is that God alone is supreme and He's worthy of worship. And the other idols, they're not worthy of an ounce of our worship. I love it. So we see, you know, the ark is taken into the temple now, the temple of Dagon. The temple of Dagon is like the temple for Israel. Dagon would be the father of Baal. In the pagan world, he's the god of gods. You know, this is the dude. And when the Philistines come back the next morning after putting the ark in there, what they find is that Dagon is prostrate on the floor before the ark. He's worshiping Yahweh. The next morning, it's so ironic. So they take this idol and they have to prop up the idol that they worship because it's incapable to stand on its own. It says so much, I think, about idols in general in our life. But the next morning, the same thing happens. But this time, our text says that there's no hands and no head on the idol. Not only is it prostrate, like laying down, worshiping Yahweh, but it's been demonstrated now to be powerless, like helpless, no hands, no head, no feet, nothing. Can't do anything for these Philistines. So what we would hope, because we know God in His mercy and His love is just like revealing Himself to the Philistines, what we would hope is the Philistines would like leave the idols there, leave Dagon on the floor. In fact, push him out of the temple and then worship him. And in tragedy again, what happens, and we see this in life, is instead of worshiping God, who's shown Himself to be supreme and capable and mighty, is they push Him off, push Him away out of the temple to the next city, and they pick the Dagon back up. And it's sad, but I think that God is declaring to us in chapter 5, like, I am the only God worth worshiping, worth serving, worth living your life for, because these other quote-unquote idols and gods are no real gods at all. They can't do anything for you. In fact, they can't even stand on their own. So the point I think that the author is trying to make in this chapter, the thing that I hope encourages you today, is that when God truly steps into our temple, Dagons begin to fall. And we're left with a choice, like, are we gonna leave the Dagons there and worship the God who is supreme? Or are we gonna push Him off? And it's what we actually see in the Gospel of Mark too. The demoniac and the people witness these miracles, Jesus revealing Himself. And like the saddest thing, the Pharisees and these villagers, they ask for Him to leave. Now, my encouragement this week, in light of 1 Samuel chapter 5, is that you would just take some time and search your life, search the temple and see if there's any Dagons in there that you just need to leave on the ground and stop picking back up, so that we will be free to just worship the God who is good and mighty and who gives life and who is capable and worthy of it all. Thanks, you guys.